Anyway, yep, we still have about 5 minutes. So anyway, Trump says he's going to put a huge tariff on Mexican goods to punish them for letting immigrants and fentanyl cross the border. But 80% of the fentanyl brought into America is brought in by American citizens, not by Mexican immigrants. And as the president of Mexico here, Claudia Sheinbaum, says, Mexico, in fact, has been doing a lot to stop immigrants from crossing the border, and this has caused a really large downturn. The Mexican border crossers have decreased by 75% over the last year because of that. And she says what's happening is people in Mexico are being killed because of America constantly buying all the drugs. Anyway, and she says she's going to retaliate with an equal tariff on the other side, so it looks like we'll have the trade war. Trump said he likes trade wars. It looks like he's going to start one. And always he's attacking our allies and being nice to our enemies. So it is Trump. Everybody knows what Trump is about. They voted for him, and apparently this is what they like. So people are threatening Trump's team with bomb threats, including Matt Gaetz. A bunch of them, like 10 of them, have gotten bomb threats at their homes. So that's somewhat surprising to me. But anyway, an interesting fact. Various people are getting upset about microplastics. There are microplastics in everything, tiny plastic fragments. And they're worried about how to get them out of water. It turns out if you boil the water, that removes them. So that is a possible thing people should be doing. They've found it in the human body, in the brain, everywhere. Plastics are broken up into little chunks. They're all around us. They're in the food. They're in the water. And it's not entirely clear how harmful they are. But some people are getting worried about it. The first UEFI boot kit appeared for Linux. This is looks like a prototype. It doesn't really accomplish anything, has bugs and crashes, but this is the point. You infect machines at their boot process. Rootkit's been around for a long time for Windows and also for Linux, but bootkits are new, especially for the UEFI boot process, the newer one replacing BIOS. So we can expect more of these things. This, again, is an area where we have almost no defenses. There is something called Secure Boot, but if you listen to Paul's Security Weekly, you'll find out there's a whole lot of weak spots in Secure Boot. So we can expect a lot more bootkit malware, I think. See, microplastics are a huge issue in the new birth generation. Well, I'd be interested if you have articles actually documenting what harm they do. Certainly they're present everywhere. The articles I've read have said you can find them everywhere. It's certainly happening, but they're not clear exactly what harm it does. So Starlink is going to offer cellular phone service from the satellites. And they would like to offer it everywhere, but are only going to allow them to do it now in dead zones, where the other carriers don't have it. In America, the telephone carriers are controlled by the government. They're restricted to certain areas and stuff. I don't know exactly why that is, but I know they do regulate the radio frequency bandwidth, and they have an auction where they sell it to certain companies, and certain companies own it and such. Anyway, I know iPhones, the latest iPhone supposedly has a direct-to-satellite connection also, so you can make emergency phone calls if you're far from a cell phone tower. So that's what Starlink is going to start offering service like that for the time being. So planes have a vertical rudder. As you know, the back of an airplane has a vertical rudder. It has that to stop a shimmy motion back and forth, which is dangerous for planes. But it is, in fact, a source of a lot of drag and wasted power. And birds don't have it, like pigeons. Pigeons have a horizontal wing in the back to steer with. And so people have been trying to figure out how pigeons do that, because planes built this way are unstable and can't fly. And they have found that the pigeons are constantly adjusting the tilt of this wing in the back, and they're also adjusting the lift from each wing to stay at the right angle. And they built a plane that does that, that has dynamic adjustment of the shape of the tail fin and of the wings. And they're trying to make them fly like pigeons. Pigeons are far more efficient than airplanes. The current airplanes they have prevent this shimmy. The ones that have a horizontal fin in the back, they lift something at the end of the wings to cause more drag in one wing in order to prevent the shimmy, but pigeons do it by increasing the lift in there, so it's much more efficient. And they have found that they can build drones that do this, but they have to use real pigeon feathers to do it. They cannot make any artificial material that is the right strength and lightness the way drones are. All right, so I see a link presumably showing the the harm due to microplastics, adverse effects on the reproductive system. Okay, well, that's interesting. Infertility, 15%, limited understanding of microplastics effects necessitates further research. Yeah, this is what I thought. They don't actually prove what harm it does. They just observe that they're everywhere, and they think they may be causing some harm, but they don't really know. Yeah. All right. I think that's fair. See if this image explains anything. In recent years, they have caused ubiquitous environmental pollution. It is everywhere, and raised concern about their potential toxicity. Yeah, so it's the same thing. It's just like that's what people are worried about, is that perhaps it's harming them, but they don't really know whether it is harming them. Anyway, all right. And anyway, it's time to stop at the news, so let me stop this recording, such as it is.